you need to be aggressive, you need to be aggressive, you need to
Just
be
go
score
score.
first mindset.
Shoot
And
it.
it's all about, you as an individual.
Hey there, I'm David Morrell, professional basketball player, coach, and your pro ball buddy, here to mentor you through practical advice and mental strategies for basketball success. Whether you've struggled along your basketball journey or simply want to reach your full potential, you're in the right place, because it all starts, you guessed it, with your mindset. So let's train your mind like you train your body. Let's show up, get better, and become the kind of player and person you were made to be. You in? Let's get it. All right, today we have David Morrell, aka my husband, aka my basketball trainer, as well as a professional basketball coach. He is a amazing basketball brain. And David, thanks so much for joining us again.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited about this topic. I think this will be a fun one.
Yeah, it's so good. A lot of players out there struggle with confidence, and it is a huge thing. And I think this discussion really kind of hones in on a major reason why there can be some lack of confidence out there. And basically, it is a debate as well. So, one side of the debate says a score first mentality equals selfish, and the other side says you need to be selfish and have a score first mentality. So, like I said, a lot of us struggle in this, and I've even heard it specifically from juniors who fear being called a ball hog and really worry about what players around them think, their teammates, parents, and sometimes that can really affect their confidence, and oftentimes they can just shrink back, or they actually are confident and aggressive, but they get slack for being selfish. So is it confidence or is it selfishness? And we are going to set the record straight today for you guys, talk this out. So David, start us out. What side of the debate are you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think the first thing that I always say is just trying to define selfish, right? In this, and like, to me, basketball is a team sport. So selfish, it's selfish to do anything that goes against the team, right? That works against the team. That's what selfishness is. And in that, I would kind of sit on, or like having that definition, I would kind of sit on both sides of this argument that you can be selfish, hurt the team by being too aggressive and being the classic ball hog, but you also can be selfish, or probably in a better sense, or for people to process it better, it's just you can hurt the team by being too passive as well.
Yeah.
And so there's a sweet spot in there that players can spend their entire careers trying to find, which is this middle ground between too aggressive, not aggressive enough, and in that sweet spot is confidence that doesn't waver, an aggressive mindset that doesn't waver, but doesn't cross the line of getting into ball hog mode.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think you and I are on the same side with this. And ultimately, to me, that just comes down to knowing how to play good basketball. Like, selfishness is never the answer, but knowing how to play good basketball is the answer. And I think that's what we're trying to do here, is really just like flip the argument on its head and understand what good basketball requires and looks like in order to understand what actually is selfish. And I think people on the side of you need to be selfish may actually have the right intent and kind of like say the similar things that we're saying.
And I would interject, though, that there are people on that side of the debate that are not in it with the right intention. There's skill trainers out there. There's parents out there that are on the you need to be aggressive, you need to be score first mindset.
Shoot it.
And it's all about you as an individual. And if you're trying to be completely on that side of the argument, then you should play a sport like swimming or athletics, because that's individual sport stuff, where basketball as a team sport is, again, it's finding that sweet spot of how does me being the best version of myself benefit the team to the maximum ability.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I think you hear the noise. We talk about outside noise on this podcast all the time, and we can hear the noise of exactly what you're saying. And it can often come across really, really confusing, but it's also coming from people who don't understand basketball a lot of the time. So just a point on that, and being careful who you're listening to. And on that note, the people out there who do understand basketball and are saying this and are on this side of the argument of, nope, you need to be selfish, I think just using those words actually sends the wrong message, right? Because we don't ever want to instill a selfish attitude or mindset into players.
Yeah, and I would say at the heart of the issue is what you said at the beginning of pass first versus score first, right? Like,
Yeah.
and that being um, this way that people talk about this issue, and really, again, I would kind of blow up that argument and make it a more dynamic consideration than just black and white. Which
Yeah.
side should you be on? You know, you're not a good team player if you're not pass first. No. What a good player does is they're consistently aggressive. They're always looking for and reading the game, looking for opportunities to make efficient, good plays for their basketball team. And if help comes, if the coverage, the opportunity presents itself where they find themselves in a crowd, then you need to be pass first. That's the right play.
Yeah.
If you're being aggressive and you find space to drive into a lane advantage, a closeout to attack, and help doesn't come, then you got to be score first because that's the right play. That's the most efficient offense for your team. So this always comes back to make the right play, and it's not selfish. It's good for the team.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
But you also have to be confident. You can't disappear out there. If you disappear on offense, you are hurting your team because you don't put pressure on the defense, and you need all 5 players to put pressure on the defense.
So when is it sort of harmful to the team to have that mentality of all the players have to be a threat?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's in and of itself it's a problem. There's certainly ways that you can take it too far, though, and then it does become too aggressive, too much, or like the ball hog label, right? But I think it's all about context, right? Like, what is the system? What is the style of play? Are you actually making reads, or are you just always doing the thing that is you going and trying to score, right? So, like, for example, if we are running an offense that's like a wing dribble handoff, that we're playing in that 2-man game, and then it gets on to the next side, like, if I'm the handoff guy, am I every single time trying to fake that handoff and go? Well, it's clearly not a read that I'm making that, hey, the defense is on the high side and I have a baseline drive.
Yeah.
It's just me just trying to be selfish and go all the time.
Yeah, just that mentality of, I want to score.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think that's it. And I think, I mean, you primarily play the 5. So I think a good situation to sort of discuss, you and I can discuss, and be interesting to see what your mindset is in a specific spot. But like, as a 5 in modern offense, and a common situation is getting the ball at the trail spot.
Yeah.
Right. Which would be, for listeners, would be up at the top at the 3-point line is the 5. And in those situations, in 5-out offense, the 5 is oftentimes asked to like activate the next action in offense, right? So the coach, I'm drawing up the plays, I'm designing the system, is saying, if we throw it to the 5 at the top, you're turning it to the other side, and we're getting to our 3-side action, and it is no hesitation, just quick ball movement. But you have a player on you who's really slow, and you feel like you can drive by her from the top.
Yeah, there's a mismatch.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What are you doing?
What am I doing? I hope I'm taking it. I hope I am taking advantage of that mismatch. But yeah, I think that's a great example of like the side of the argument that says like being passive might actually be more selfish, and what we're getting to the root of is like actually being able to play basketball, make the right reads. So it's like if I'm not actually willing to take advantage of that advantage and go after the mismatch, then it's actually me being selfish because maybe I am fearful of making the wrong play or fearful of turning the ball over or missing the shot, missing the layup, whatever it is. Like, I think that definitely plays a part in this. And yeah, actually can be more selfish when it comes from that frame of mind. Because really at the root of that is pride. Like, you're worried about me over team. Again, that's about making the right read for the team, being aggressive when the opportunity presents itself, when your team has the advantage and you happen to be the one with the ball.
And that it unfortunately it's not so black and white and simple though. Even with a mismatch, there's degrees of a mismatch,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like there's you're playing against a girl who like can't move at all. Okay, yeah, you should drive 100% of the time and go make a play, right? Versus somebody who's a little bit of a mismatch. um, I think it ends up being bad for the team if you drive every single time when we don't run action, because not that it's not a good opportunity for you, but you do have to understand the cost and the benefit of it's a good opportunity for you to take the ball and make a play, but every time that you do that instead of getting to the action, you take away rhythm from your teammates.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. And I think that's the give and take that is sort of the art form of how do I be confident? How do I be consistently aggressive? That every player needs to be feeling the scale of, but balancing it with how do I also give my teammates rhythm?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I catch it, if I'm the five up top and I catch it from the right side and I'm supposed to turn it and get it to the two guards on my left and I drive it, okay, that's fine. Like, made a play. We trust you that if a second defender comes in that job, then I'm gonna kick it out and make a play for a teammate. But if I do that 3 times in a row, then the offense loses rhythm, and versus me catching it and immediately turning it and going to the left side where that guard can sprint off of me and be ready on time in rhythm to go make a play and be aggressive herself,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah.
Um, I think that's a difficult thing, and players can certainly fall too far on the being bad for the team by being too passive, and being too far on the scale of being too aggressive, and now you're bad for the team.
Yeah. And I would say to that too is like it's so important to allow all five players to be in rhythm, because what happens when the defense makes an adjustment and then there's a clutch moment and your teammate's out of rhythm and you lose? Like, ultimately, that is when team basketball shows up
But it's
at its
also
finest.
but it's also crucial for all five players to feel confident to be aggressive too.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
have a mismatch on this play, they've got to be confident to go make a play,
Yeah.
right? So yeah, it's always a balancing act.
And what would you say, because it is hard as well, I think about scheme and just basically what the coach is after for your team. So from a coach's perspective, like what role does your role on the team play in this debate?
Um, I don't think you should ever be a role that is completely passive and only looking to just move the ball. Like, that is where I would agree with the people that you're citing of that's too passive and it hurts the team,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yeah.
even if you're like a couple of classic role names would be like a glue guy or a 3 and D. Um, right? Where in a 3-and-D role, essentially your role would be theoretically just shoot, catch, and shoot threes and play defense on the other side, which means don't do anything with the basketball.
Right.
If it kicks to you and you don't have an open three, just kind of pass it back to the top.
You're not allowed to dribble, in other words.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you always have to be a little bit more of a threat than that. You can't let your role put you in a box so badly that you become passive.
Okay, but what if coaches put you in a box? Like, there's probably some coaches out there. Like, there is. Like we're saying, this is a legit debate. So how do players actually manage that? Like, a player is told, you're not dribbling. You cannot dribble. If you don't have an open shot, pass it on to the next player.
Well, there's a big difference also of there's NBA players that make $20 million a year to do that role.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna take that deal, coach. Like I'll be real aggressive and put my feet down and shoot it, and I'm gonna defend like a maniac on the other end, and that's fine. I'm a grown man. I'm a professional, and I'm making $20 million and feeding my family, and buying luxury cars by playing that role, right?
I do think that it is true from a player's perspective. Like, if you happen to be in a team that you have a specific role and the coach has been very clear and is very clear in his actions, like maybe you go against what the coach wants and they sub you out right away. Like, if you're in that situation, then you kind of, as a player, you have to do what you're asked, right?
You have to do what you're asked, but I think there's also some resiliency. So first off, I would go back to the point of a 3-and-D role, of that's not 0-and-D. Like it is still a player being a significant threat on the offensive end. That every time the ball gets passed to them, they are always a threat to catch and shoot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it does go back to the argument of you can't be a 0 on the offensive end where the defense doesn't have to worry about you. They are, even though it's very limited, that role, they are still a threat to the defense, which does matter.
Yeah.
I think what happens when we start talking about 3-and-D role and NBA players and stuff, it's such a different argument than what we're talking about when we're talking about 10, 11, 12, 13-year-old kids that are developing, right?
Yeah.
Because in development and becoming a better basketball player, it's about exploration. It's about being able to take some risks and possibly fail and have the resiliency to, even though you failed in it, it's not the end of the world. You're fine. You're just growing from those mistakes. And I mean, it's why you got guys like, Patrick Beverley, who is a defensive role player in the NBA, who averaged something crazy. I don't have the number, something like 45 points per game in the top high school division in the country in America as a 18-year-old. Right?
Yeah, wow.
So they've explored a lot of their game and done a lot if they're at the NBA level, and then now they're being asked to play a role, right? Yeah. You don't get to the NBA without that development process happening where you're confident and taking some risks and being able to explore your game.
Yeah.
I think a lot of juniors fall short because they don't have the confidence or like the resiliency through coaching. So I've heard this so many times over the years of a player talking about maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago at the beginning of the season, my coach told me not to shoot. So I just don't shoot at all. I just catch it and I pass it on. And you sort of dig into it with the coach, and the way they recall it was, oh yeah, she shot a contested 3 and the extra pass was wide open. So I said, hey, you got to make the extra pass there. And the player takes it as, my coach never wants me to shoot ever. I got to shut it down. I've got to play the role of just be the person that makes the extra pass every time.
Yeah.
And so I think you got to be really careful and really resilient to not take a single coaching point and apply a blanket statement over your entire game, because there have been a lot of really good players even at the junior level that destroy their confidence and destroy their role and destroy their game, thinking the coach is trying to shut down a whole bunch of their freedom and their aggressiveness when really the coach didn't even mean that.
That's such a good point. I love that. And I think also just that point of like being willing to make mistakes, like especially if you're young and like you're calling it explore your game, because that's how you're going to grow and that's how you're going to get to the stage of understanding what reads and what options are out there for you when you are older, and you're going to continue to just get better. And the more you learn from your mistakes, the more you'll have that experience the next time you step on the court, or the next time you're in that certain situation coming off a ball screen and defenses in drops or in hard hedge, and you'll know better what to do. And yeah, there's just no better coach than experience, really. And then I guess coaching, right? So going back to like coaches putting you in a box, but I think it's a good opportunity to speak to the coach out there as well, of like how can they be better. Like I think a lot as a player, I know that coaches make a huge difference with this in terms of really encouraging what actions the team is looking for, and also emphasizing them when they happen, making sure that they're really on it when it's time to correct, but instilling confidence in the same breath of like, but I'm happy for you to do this, or you did great in that situation. But I just think clear communication from coaches makes such a huge difference. What are some mistakes you see coaches making?
Well, I think any of those scenarios that I just spoke about, those are also on the coach to some degree too, a little bit, that the coach has to be careful in how you word things. I think probably the most common thing for coaches, a mistake would be that a player makes a good read, sees a good situation to attack, tries to make the play, and then ends up, driving into space, missing the shot. And they say, you got to move it on, get it to the next side.
Right. Yeah.
Even though they got 2 feet in the paint, help didn't come, they got off a clean look, they just happened to miss it.
Yeah.
Right? Versus I drive into a crowd and shoot a crazy fadeaway that goes in, and the coach says, yeah, good look, that's what we want. You have to coach the decision, not the result, as the coach. And as players, you want to be thinking this as well, right?
Yeah.
So even if your coach isn't doing it for you, you want to go back through and think about the decisions you made, whether it was successful or not. Was it a good decision? Was it a good read? Did I do this for the right reason? Did I play into space instead of a crowd? If I played into a crowd and was aggressive in a silly situation to be aggressive, and it happened to work out, yeah, sure, it's going to work out sometimes, but it's not going to work out often. So that's still a bad play. Versus I go into space, I make the right read, or they're in a certain coverage and I attack it in the right way and it just doesn't go in. All right, cool, that's a good play. So I think as a coach, you want to make sure you're coaching the decision, not the result.
Yeah. And the player definitely has to be resilient in that, like you were saying. And I would just note too, what's really good is, like you've even told me this, like we can't get caught up in the moment and let like a coaching point sort of have a ripple effect into the next play. So you've got to have a next play mentality and have that resiliency. And then, go home and actually study film and watch what your coach saw versus what you felt in the situation. And coaches aren't perfect either. So that's also why like the resiliency has to come into play here. And I just think also being a student of the game is everyone's number one weapon for this debate. Like basically what we're saying is you've got to know good basketball. You've got to be able to make the right reads and know what actions are happening within your team, what the coach wants, and also like be willing to ask your coach. Like, hopefully coaches are approachable, and if not, go find a trainer, go ask someone you trust who you know knows basketball really well, and start learning from him or her, and watch a lot of basketball. I think that's probably one of my biggest tips that I would give little Tage, because I know I would be so much better today if I had started at a young age, like truly being a student of the game and understanding like the different actions in basketball.
And that's the beginning point of the foundation of this entire discussion, right? Mm-hmm. Is knowledge and understanding of what the right play is and what offense should look like, kind of having that picture in your mind of what good team offense looks like. Mm-hmm. The knowledge of that serves as your foundation, your bedrock that makes your confidence unshakable, where you can be consistently aggressive in the right way, within the flow of things without forcing, but confident, aggressive, consistently aggressive, always being a threat to the defense in the right way, and be confident in that. So you make one mistake, one turnover, one missed shot, mm-hmm. and it doesn't derail you and say, I guess that's why I should never shoot ever again. Mm-hmm. Or, mm-hmm. yeah, that's why I give it to so-and-so. She's our best player, and I should never drive ever again. Yeah. No. You just are confident intellectually that you made the right play, the right read, and you would do it again over if you had the chance a second time. And that over the course of an entire season builds up that, was it the right play? Yes. Then have confidence that it was good, whether it went in or not.
Yeah. And that to me is where basketball becomes so much fun. Like, it really is so strategic. There's so much depth to basketball. And I guess that's my last bit of encouragement is like, become a student of the game, and it makes the game so much more fun. And yeah, like you said, you're able to be more confident. Okay, amazing. I think hopefully we have cleared up a bit of confusion out there in the basketball community. And yeah, obviously, like we said, this is a debate. So let us know what side you are on, or if this was helpful in terms of, it really coming down to understanding good basketball and playing good basketball. And selfishness is never the answer.
But aggressiveness is.
Yes. Yeah. So, I'd love to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought of today's conversation. That's a wrap for today, friend. I hope this episode gave you something to think about and something to take into your next workout, practice, or game time. If it hit home, will you do me a favor? Share it with a teammate you care about. And I would love it if you could leave me a review to let me know you're listening and help us reach even more athletes just like you. If you haven't yet, be sure to hit follow so you don't miss the next episode. And you can always find more tools and encouragement at proballbuddy.com. Remember, greatness starts in your mind, and you gotta fall in love with the process of becoming great. So keep showing up and have patience in the process. I'll see you next time.